PSA just paused grading. Tag paused grading. And Pokemon just banned graded slabs from their own events entirely. And I'm very glad they did, because somewhere along the way, this hobby stopped being about Pokemon and started being about slabs. And if the last sentence made you very angry, you might be the exact person this video is for. Let me put this in perspective for you. PSA has a backlog of nearly 10 million cards right now. 10 million. And it got so out of hand that on June 2nd, they're completely shutting down their 4 most affordable grading tiers. Value Bulk, Value, Value Plus, Value Max are all gone temporarily. So you might be wondering, what is the cheapest way to grade a card through PSA after that? $75 per card. Think about that. $75 per card just to get a number slabbed on your card. And hey, maybe we can use tag. Well, guess what? Also pausing. Multiple companies all at the same time are buckling under the same pressure. A wave of people sending in cards so fast and so fiercely that the entire grading industry just broke. And it wasn't just the grading companies that noticed this. The Pokemon Company itself finally noticed too. Just this week, the Pokemon Company quietly told vendors at their official events, including regionals, Pokemon North America International Championships, and Worlds, that graded slabs can no longer be sold at those events. They also banned selling individual items over $1,000 and restricted Japanese Pokemon Center products from being resold on site. No more vendors pushing $1,000 slabs to kids at a Pokemon tournament, and the reason they gave was actually pretty revealing. Graded slabs had become associated with what they call investor bro culture. That's not me saying that, that's the framing coming from within the hobby itself. The Pokemon Company looked at what was happening at their own events and decided it was a bad look. Kids surrounded by expensive slabs, money flying around, and nobody actually there to celebrate Pokemon. Now, before you get mad at me, I'm not saying grading is the villain. I'm not here to tell you grading is useless or that you should never send in a card. Grading has a real purpose. It protects genuinely rare and valuable cards. A PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator makes sense. A PSA 10 base set Charizard also makes sense. Those are cards where condition changes the value and where having a verified grade actually matters to the market. But that's not what most of the 10 million backlog cards are. The backlog exploded because people started treating every single card they pulled like it was an investment, ripping packs, grading bulk, flipping slabs. The rip and flip culture took over, and suddenly grading wasn't about preserving something rare, it was about turning any card into a product. And here's what that actually costs you. Let's say you pull something decent. You send it in at the cheapest value bulk tier, or you did before that option disappeared. You wait 140 to 160 days because that was the turnaround time before the pause. You get it back, and if it grades well, great. If it doesn't, you spent $25 to $65 and months of your time on a card you now don't want. Most graded modern Pokemon cards don't make that math work. Not even close. The real shift happened when grading stopped being a tool for collectors and became a goal within itself. I talked in a previous video about how to actually build a collection that means something. Artist collections, Pokemon specific collections, theme builds. None of that requires grading. None of it requires paying $75 per card. None of it requires waiting half a year to get a slab back. But when grading became the whole point, collecting stopped being personal. It became transactional, and the Pokemon Company just confirmed that they see it too. When an 11-year-old is sitting at a World's vendor table flipping cards for profit, something has seriously gone wrong. That's not collecting, that's a side hustle that happens to involve Pokemon. So, now that PSA is pausing bulk submissions and the cheapest path to grading just jumped to $75 a card, what do you actually do? I think this is a reset the hobby needed. Be more selective. If you're going to grade something, make sure it's actually worth grading. Ask yourself, would this card be meaningfully more in a slab? Is it actually rare? Is the condition genuinely exceptional? If the answer isn't clearly yes, just hold the card raw. A well-stored card in a penny sleeve and a top loader isn't shameful. It's how people collected for decades before grading companies existed. Stop chasing the grade. Start chasing the cards that actually mean something to you, because the pause isn't permanent. PSA says they want to bring the backlog down to 5 million before reopening the value tiers, which they estimate at 4 months. But the lesson here isn't to wait and then flood the system again. The lesson is most of your cards don't need a slab, and your collection is going to look a whole lot better and cost you a whole lot less once you realize that. And please, for the love of the hobby, if you really need to grade, please use other grading services. So here's what I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Are you relieved about the PSA pause, or is this going to mess up how you collect? And if you've been grading everything you pull, does this change anything for you? And if you haven't already, check out my video on how to actually build a collection worth keeping, because that's what this should have been about the whole time. See you in the next one. Goodbye.